Life for All presents Daily Food series, The Word of Life, The Fellowship of Life, and Living Stones for the Edification. The Epistles of John and Peter. Title of Book 5, The End is Near, by Pedro. Week 2, Husband and Wife, Heirs of the Same Grace of Life. Tuesday, before God, each will give account of his own actions. Read with prayer. Therefore, judge nothing before the time, until the Lord comes, who will both bring to light the hidden things of darkness and reveal the counsels of the hearts. Then each one's praise will come from God. 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 5. Since we are clear about the battle that is taking place in our heart, we need to apply this word to the context of marriage. Let us not take the word of the Lord as mere teaching, but let us understand that if we feed on the word and practice it, the divine seed planted in us will spontaneously bear fruit. Married life reveals whether or not the couple is living by the life of God, which is within each one. Peter begins by telling women, "Wives, likewise be submissive to your own husbands, that even if some do not obey the word, they, without a word, may be won by the conduct of their wives, when they observe your chaste conduct accompanied by fear." 1 Peter chapter 3, verses 1 and 2. These verses imply an exceptional quality of this wife. She obeys the word. Such behavior is capable of winning the heart of her husband. Obedience to the word is what sets us apart from other people. It causes us to behave in an exemplary manner. Since you have purified your souls in obeying the truth through the Spirit, in sincere love of the brethren, love one another fervently with a pure heart. Chapter 1, verse 22. Continual obedience to the truth and the word produces in us a life of exemplary conduct. Based on this, we affirm that the submission of women to their husbands is within the same principle as our submission to the authorities instituted by God for government. Romans chapter 13, verse 1. It is not up to a Christian to have attitudes of rebellion or revolt against rulers. Our disagreements do not give us the right to reach this point, because this is not the appropriate behavior of a Christian. The same principle applies to marriage. When the wife obeys the word, but her husband leads a married life contrary to the direction of the Lord, she can and should tell him that she disagrees with this, but without disrespecting him. She should make it clear that she obeys the truth, and therefore will not follow her husband in his conduct. It must be clear that submission is one thing, and following the path of sin is another. This is because each person will answer for themselves on the day of God's judgment. 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 5. On that day, we will not be able to say to the Lord, "My husband led me astray." Our actions are our responsibility. This is very serious. Therefore, wife, do not ever have an attitude of rebellion or dishonor towards your husband. But this does not mean that you have to accept whichever direction he wants to take the marriage, because you will give an account of your actions before the Lord. In the first epistle to the Corinthians, we read, "And a woman who has a husband who does not believe, if he is willing to live with her, let her not divorce him. For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the husband sanctifies the unbelieving wife. Otherwise, your children would be unclean, but now they are holy. But if the unbeliever departs, let him depart. A brother or sister is not under bondage in such cases, but God has called us to peace. Chapter 7, verses 13 through 15. Paul addressed the issue of the unbelieving husband willing to live with a wife who follows the path of obedience to the word. He is sanctified by living with her. However, if the unbelieving husband leaves, let him go. In such cases, she did not make the decision. The most important thing is for the Lord to approve us on that day. Let us not fall into the error of allowing ourselves to be influenced by those who do not want to follow the truth. It is important to emphasize that this context cannot be used as a pretext for separation. Remember, what matters is having a chaste conduct accompanied by fear. It is better to fear displeasing the Lord than to displease men. This is living under the fear of the Lord.